and welcome to another live baseball talk radio show. I'm Gary Mack, and I'm joined, as always, by my co host, the great Rich Baxter. Rich, how are you this lovely Wednesday?
All right, Gary, thank you very much for the introduction. How about yourself today?
I'm doing very well, Rich. Getting ready for the big All Star game in just what is it now? A week away. And we have the all of the rosters and the home run derby is set, and the action takes place just Monday night. It starts with the derby. What do you think about all of that?
I think it's awesome. They finally got, the home run derby participants listed. Every year it seems like there's a question mark with a lot of the guys that are hitting home runs. They don't want to become involved because they think it might throw off their timing or, do something else to their swing possibly because they're batting practice essentially, and the ball's coming in there at different speeds. So I've heard over the years some batters are very superstitious like that. They don't want to get involved in throwing off their timing, but the biggies have agreed to get into the game, including your favorite Mets first baseman there, the polar bear, and the Phillies even with Mr. Kyle Schwarber agreeing to go to the home run derby.
Yeah, and Ronald Acuna Jr. and Albert Pujols in probably his last hurrah at that. Juan Soto from Washington, and it looks like it's mostly a National League. It really looks like a National League home run derby. Julio Rodriguez, I think, is the American League entry. But the rest of the guys are all seem to be National League guys, and some big names, as you said, Carl Schwarber, who I believe is leading the league right now in home runs, and Pete Alonso, defending champion, Ronald Acuna Jr. Yes, it should be an interesting derby.
Yeah, and the past two titles, of course, belong to Pete Alonso. A third would be something else, and let's see what happens. It's going to make it something good for us to watch for sure with the players that we like. I normally don't spend too much time following the home run derby, but I think this year I might tune in. As you said, some big names. Albert Pujols, 42 years old, returning for what should be his final appearance, from what people have said. But the fifth time that he's done this with the home run derby, and who knows? Maybe he'll make a showing this year.
Yeah, you never know. He's got nothing to lose, and should be a fun time for him as well as everybody else. And Kyle Schwarber, of course, very hot, having a hot season at the plate, especially with the power numbers. So it's going to be interesting with him there too. And Juan Soto is uh, uh, almost like a dark horse. Well, Julio Rodriguez, I guess, would be the dark horse, but once Soto's kind of a long shot because he's not having a very good year, but we all know the talent that's there, and he could surprise everybody, and win the darn thing. So it should be an interesting uh, exhibition, if you will, in the home run derby on Monday evening. That will be.
Yeah, and it seems to me like there's a lot less participants this year. I seem to remember, a couple rounds of maybe a dozen batters before. So it seems like it's going to be pared down a little bit this year, but I'm sure it'll be fun nonetheless.
Yeah, they've started paring it down the last couple of years, and for time reasons, it dragged on too long after a certain point, and so they decided to pare it down. But I'm looking over the All Star roster now, and I didn't really realize that they have now they have something called a legacy selection as well. And if you'd like, I can go through the starters for the American League.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, at catcher, it's Alejandro Kirk of Toronto. At first base, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. from Toronto. Second base, Jose Altuve from Houston. Third base, Rafael Devers from Boston. Shortstop, Tim Anderson from the White Sox. The outfield is Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, and Giancarlo Stanton. And the DH is Shohei Otani. The legacy selection to the team is Miguel Cabrera, and the reserves are Jose Trevino, catcher from the New York Yankees, first baseman Luis Arez from Minnesota, the second base reserve Andres Jimenez from Cleveland is having a real big year. The third base Jose Ramirez from Cleveland, shortstop Xander Bogaerts of Boston, and the outfield reserves are Byron Buxton from Minnesota, Kyle Tucker from Houston, George Springer from Toronto, Andrew Benintendi from KC, Julio Rodriguez from Seattle, Yordani Alvarez is the reserve DH from Houston, and JD Martinez is another reserve DH. Let's see. He might be taking somebody's place that didn't who bowed out. But the starting pitchers are Shane McClanahan of Tampa Bay, Justin Verlander from Houston, Alex Manoah from Toronto, Nestor Cortez from the New York Yankees, Garrett Cole from the New York Yankees, Otani, of course, from the Angels, Blackburn from the Oakland A's, Martin Perez from Texas, and Framber Valdez from Houston. And the relievers are Clay Holmes from the Yankees, Emmanuel Chase from Cleveland, and Jorge Lopez of Baltimore, and Gregory Soto of Detroit. That is the American League, and of course, we don't know who uh, the starting pitcher per se is going to be. My guess will probably be Otani. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I guess we'll know soon, though. It's almost about a week away now, so probably a few days before the game, they'll let everybody know who's picked as the starter. And I would imagine it's probably the manager that makes that call um, for that.
Yeah, it could be Verlander as well. He's having a real good year, and they figure they'll just keep Otani as a DH and not have him pitch in this game at all. So we shall see. Um,
Should I roll through the National League real quick?
sure, go ahead.
All right, the elected starters for the National League. Catcher Wilson Contreras, first base Paul Goldschmidt, St. Louis, second base Jazz Chisholm Jr. from Miami, third base is Manny Machado over in San Diego, shortstop Trey Turner, who everybody seems to want after this season, probably be a free agent. Ronald Acuna Jr., outfield. Jock Peterson from the Giants, outfield. Mookie Betts, LA Dodgers. And elected starter, he won't be playing, though, because he's injured, Bryce Harper as the DH. There for the National League legacy selection. First baseman, Albert Pujols made it to the big game for this one. Reserves, catchers Travis d'Arnaud from the Braves. Also, formerly of the Mets and the Phillies, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Tie in there. Reserve first baseman Pete Alonso. Also at first base, C.J. Cron from the Colorado Rockies. Second baseman Jeff McNeil, also of the Mets, going to the big game here. And at third base, Nolan Arenado, St. Louis. Shortstop is Dansby Swanson from the Braves. And outfielder Kyle Schwarber from the Phillies. Outfielder Starling Marte from the Mets. Outfielder Ian Happ from the Cubs. And Juan Soto in the outfield for the Washington Nationals. William Contreras from the Braves will be at DH. He's going to substitute for Harper. And Garrett Cooper from Miami also making the All-Star game here in 2022. I'll roll through the starting pitchers real quick. Sandy Alcantara from the Miami Marlins. Corbin Burns from the Brewers. Joe Musgrave, San Diego. Max Fried from the Braves. And he's a great pitcher, Fried. I've watched a
Yeah.
few of his games this year. As well as Tony Gonsolin. I think he's got 10 or 11 wins now, Gonsolin. Luis Castillo for the Reds. Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers. Carlos Rodon, I've seen a few of his games with the Giants. And the relievers, Josh Hader, Edwin Diaz from the Mets. They call him the Sugar Man or something?
Yeah, sugar.
Sugar, okay. Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals. David Bednar from the Pirates. And Joe Mantiply from the Arizona Diamondbacks. That rounds out the NL All-Stars for 22.
And it should be an interesting game. There's a lot of you know, big names. I would have picked personally. I know Jock Peterson's having a good year, but I think Schwab will probably deserve to start over him. But that's the way it goes. And, we shall see. It should be an interesting game, though.
Yes, it should be. And the teams will be wearing all-star jerseys this year. And the National League, I'll put something up on the screen for our video viewers here. And I also have to tell our listeners what they look like as well. Sometimes I forget to do that. We're not only video, primarily audio show here. But yeah, here's the 2022 All-Star uniform for the National League. It's a white jersey with gold lettering, whatever team you're from, with the Nike swoosh on the front. And around back, you got the gold numbers with your name in gold as well. And there's a gold MLB logo on the back of that jersey. How do you like that jersey, Gary?
It's not awful. I thought that when they said they were going to go to a All-Star game jersey, I thought they would do a colorful thing like the home team wears, say, a navy blue or something, and the American League wears a red. Something along that line.
Right.
Instead of the white, but I'd be curious to see an American League jersey.
Yeah, here it is. I'm going to cue it up for you right now. And they're going to have the dark gray. They're going to still have the gold lettering across the front with the All-Star logo on the right sleeve. The gold numbers and letters on the back for the name, and a gold emblem for MLB, but they'll be easy to tell what team you're on, either the National League or American League. And these jerseys have been selling pretty good at the store for different teams. They've been selling out a lot of the times. Looking at the Yankees one right here, and you can see large, extra large, and double XL are all sold out right now for certain numbers. So
Now, are
check it
they
out.
gonna? That's what they're going to wear during the game.
Yes, this is the official All-Star
Okay.
jersey. There was some talk on MLB Network radio of whether or not they should be wearing their own jerseys per se on the field. But it's a nice honor to be an All-Star, and it's nice that they'll go out and make these uniforms as well, because they do sell over the internet and in person at the stadiums, and they're collectible. People like it.
Yeah, there was an argument. People always used to like them to wear their team jersey. And years ago, it was pretty cool because you didn't always get to see the different teams and the jerseys, and you'd see them at the All Star game. If you like that kind of thing, the hats, the jerseys, all of that. Now with so much TV, I think, and the internet and everything, and whenever there's an announcement of new uniforms, it's on the internet, so you can pretty much. If you live in New York and you're a Met fan and Houston changes their uniforms and you're curious, you can pretty much find out what they look like in an instant. So there's not that mystery or whatever you want to call it that there was when I was a kid. Um, at that you'd see the different Uncle. Oh, that's what that looks like. In the
Yeah.
All Star game. So it always made sense to me because really baseball's the only sport that didn't have a specified uniform for the All Star game. Hockey has a different uniform. The East and the West, or however they do it now, wear specific uniform, All Star uniforms. Basketball has the same. Uh, Football, the Pro Bowl, they have special uniforms and they wear their team hats, helmets. Um, and I think it's kind of good in a way, baseball, because it could get confusing. Now, are they gonna wear hats as well, or
They they will. And here are the hats if you're watching us on video, which you can watch on YouTube, by the way. Just search for Baseball Talk Radio Show. You'll get our YouTube edition of the show, which is specially mixed. Gary mixes it himself. Or, of course, Facebook Live, where we stream it live. You're watching us tonight. We do this live. So here's the hats,
mm-hmm.
black and gold with the prospective teams there, with a gold star on the front as well. All-Star logo on the one side and the New Era logo on the other side. Looks pretty cool. Color
Uh,
combination there.
yeah, I think what I would have done though had and I'm gonna get a lot of people who are gonna like this, but I think I would have had uh, the jerseys would have had National League and American League on it, and the
Uh-huh.
hats would have had an AL and an NL on it. And I know people don't like that, but uh, you're playing for the league in this game, and I think maybe one of the reasons that why they don't do it is because eventually we're not going to have leagues. It's going to be one big mishmash, and you may have an American conference and a national conference, but uh, I think that's where baseball's headed down the line. So, but I think that's what I would have done. I would have had an American League uniform and a National League uniform. But that's me. So,
That's fine. I mean, that's a great opinion. And, you know, to separate, I apologize if my voice is scratchy. I'm a little under the weather with a summertime cold. But, yeah, it would be nice to separate the two. But I think the color differences do that pretty well this
yeah.
year. And, you know, the jerseys are nice. They're not like the City Connect jerseys. Now, I don't know
Oh
if you've
God.
ever seen them,
Oh
but
God.
they they are terrible. They're an abomination to baseball. And
The
I don't care
city.
what you say, they're horrible. Let me see if I get a picture up.
Oh God,
Uh,
please no.
no, yeah, we can't ruin the show. We won't ruin the
Uh,
show by doing that.
I mean the Giants. The Giants look like a big orange crush, a Julius Orange Crush, uh, creamsicles or something. They're the ugliest things I've ever seen. Boston is got an ugly look. Now I know fans from the teams, the cities probably like them, but
I don't
I
see how
mean,
you can, to be
oh my
honest
God.
with you.
Well, there are people that are buying these things like crazy. I don't. I agree with you. I don't see how you can. I think the Dodgers is horrible. The Cubbies was terrible. uh, San Diego was about the only. I mean, it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as some of the other ones. And I just
I
fear
I I didn't care for their jerseys.
what
Uh,
San Diego.
First and foremost, no. I mean, look at them. I'm going to have to put it on the screen now that you
Oh,
said
okay.
that you said.
Well,
I
I
want you
meant
to take a
compared.
second look. There you go. There's your
Well,
San Diego team. You got pink on the sleeve, half green, half pink. Letters in yellow with the name with pink numbers. I mean, come on. I mean, this is like something you wake up and dream about. That is that a dream or is it a nightmare or
but I mean, compared to some of the others, that's at least you can look at that a little bit. Yeah, you're right. It's pretty bad.
and they haven't even released some of the other teams. Could you imagine with the Mets and the Phillies? Oh my
Well,
God! You know, like
that's what my big fear is. My
yeah,
fear is I don't know what the Mets uniform's gonna be. Thankfully, I guess that the Giants did the orange and white, so hopefully the Mets won't go in that direction. Um, I don't know. These things are so ridiculous. It's really.
here's even the cap that the Padres wear with that getup, mint green.
Yeah, well,
You know, with the pink logos. Where
I
great
don't know
that
where they
they
get these colors from, though. Where are they pulling these colors?
somebody somewhere thought it went together, and
Okay, now that you open Pandora's box, you
uh,
have to show the Giant City Connect uniform and hat.
all right,
You must if you can find it.
I'll find it. Let's see what we got here.
Because
'Cause I don't think I saw theirs.
oh my god, they're
Unless
horrible. They look like a
I,
creamsicle.
yeah, the only one I did remember seeing was the Padres, and I was like, it was aghast with it.
The
All right,
Red
let's
Sox
see here.
too
Here's the Giants one. Yeah, they look like a softball team
oh,
that
softball
has
team
some
gone
cheap,
bad.
cheap, cheap jerseys, no less. Here we go. I've seen better softball jerseys.
Yeah.
Here we go from the Mercury News out there near San Francisco. This is it.
See, now that picture, the hat doesn't look too bad.
Yeah,
But when you see them in a helmet and the orange is paler in a batting helmet, it is horrible. It is the
yeah,
uniform itself is pretty horrible. The stupid G, I mean, the G just sitting there. It's just like nobody had. Let's just slap a G for Giants on it, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Um, it's just horrendous. It's one of the worst that I've seen. And I mean Boston's no better. Boston's one is a bright yellow and a royal blue or something, and it just I don't know. Whoever came up with this idea of city can I don't get it anyway. Why do you gotta have a City Connect uniform? The team is
Yeah.
connected to the city now by the NY or the P or
Yeah.
whatever's on their hat. Why do you got to have another uniform that's absolutely ridiculous looking?
And
And
it is. I mean, we're veterans of bad uniforms over the years. You remember, well, the Phillies had like a red wine jersey that they wore. I think once on the field they got shellacked, never wore it again. It looked like a long pair of Dr. Denton sleepers.
yeah,
And I think the Pirates have had similar setups. Over the years, we've seen some different uniforms that probably should never be used again.
Well, the
But
White Sox had the shorts.
yeah, yeah.
That was
And
probably
what?
the
So
worst.
Chris Sale one time didn't like the jerseys so much. He
He
went
ripped it
around and
off.
cut
He
the
ripped it.
the lapels off of everybody's
Yeah,
jerseys so they
yeah.
couldn't wear them.
Now, can you imagine him with the City Connect? Oh my God.
Yeah, it's gonna go crazy.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know it's all about sales and appealing. Look, they're not appealing to me anymore. They don't care about me as a customer. They don't care about you. They're appealing to the youth, and they want to get the color and all of that, and they're appealing to the hip hop crowd and all of that kind of nonsense. But I think they're silly in a way because the I have and these things are selling, so it's hard to say. But everybody you talk to, everybody here on talk radio, have panned these City Connect uniforms and really have, um, told you how ridiculous they look. They look like pajamas or whatever, and and yet people are buying them. So we're either they're hitting their target audience, I guess, and that's all they care about. They don't care. But I think it just does something. It just, I don't know. It just does something to the game. Um, that's not
Yeah,
good.
yeah. It adds some weirdness to the game sometimes, but yeah, as we were saying, the Midsummer Classic just about a week away from the time that we're doing this show, and I think maybe baseball has probably one of the best all-star games if you have to go down to playing the game itself. Hockey is a bit of an exhibition. It's usually a high-scoring game from both sides. Basketball, the same. It's 143 to 137 or something. Usually it's a run and gun offensive show. But the baseball, you can't really do that. You got good pitchers going against good batters, and you know, usually you get a good game, and that's what I always like about the MLB with their All-Star game.
Yeah, the All Star game was always something important, and I hate to go back and say that when I was a kid, but it's true. I mean, when I was a kid, you didn't have the exposure, as I mentioned earlier. So the All Star game was very important. It was our chance to truly see the stars from the other leagues. Uh,
Yep.
Before the Mets came into existence in '62, we'd watch an All Star game to see a Willie Mays or a Gil Hodges or Orlando Cepeda and Maury Wills and a Veda Pinson or a Frank Robinson, because we didn't see those guys.
Right.
Then when the Mets came in, you got to see them more. But you have to remember too that the TV was limited in those days, so you didn't get to see all the teams that came in to play the Mets. So you may not see all the Pittsburgh Pirates, or you may not see them at all. And so you'd go to the game, of course, and then you'd see a Willie Stargell or a Manny Mota or guys like that. Um,
Yeah.
it's so changed now that it's kind of affected the All Star game. And I've said this in the past. Part of the problem is the interleague play. Interleague play has, you see the teams, so it's not that big a deal to see them in the All Star game. It used to be the All Star game and the World Series was the only time you saw these, other league.
Yeah. For
Now you
sure.
see them playing your team in interleague play, so it's kind of taken away from those two things.
And of course, next year, the MLB plans to meld together more of a, you know, play every team type of mantra rather than this year, where, it's going to cost a little bit in the interconference races, the the same division, so to speak. You're going to be reduced from the 19 games that it currently is to probably something around 13, to accommodate that. But yeah, as you said, they're going to be changing it up as they usually do with baseball. Baseball changes a lot, especially with all-star games, rosters being expanded, things like that. Now we have the DH. But a little history here in the All-Star game. I think you want to harken back to the first game that the All-Star game had, and the players wore, the National League All-Star team wore gray uniforms with navy blue letters spelling National League across the front of the jerseys with NL on caps. So
That's what I want.
yeah, the first game. American League players wore their respective team uniforms, and National League players waited to the second game to do that. But yeah, in that first game, the National League All-Star team wore gray with navy blue across the front saying National League.
Yeah, because to me, it just seems like it is a team. It's the National League team playing the American League All Star team. So why not have uniforms and and look, I know Nike wouldn't be happy, but have the same ones every year. Come up with
Yeah.
a color scheme that works and use that particular jersey every year. Uh, it's just I always thought it's the right way to do it, but nobody agrees with me. So
And of course, the first All Star game was held in Comiskey Park, Chicago, July 6, 1933, part of the 1933 World's Fair, believe it or not. So, great start off to this Midsummer Classic. I think a lot of people enjoy this.
boy, and you imagine how many Hall of Famers were on that roster?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Probably who's who of baseball players.
yeah, baseball royalty.
Yep.
But yeah, that was that's something. And it's what 89 years ago or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Long
boy,
time ago,
a long time ago.
1933. Started it off and held annually. Since then, I think they missed maybe a war year or so.
Hmm.
Not quite sure exactly which ones they've missed. But of course, there was a tie game on the All Star game, July 31st, 1961. The game was called at 1-1 after 9 innings due to rain. And the only other rain shortened game was 1952, where the National League defeated the American League 3-2 in 5 innings. It was called. So very cool. And if you remember back to 2002, Milwaukee ended in a controversy with the 11th inning. Both teams ran out of substitute players available to pitch in relief, and at that point, Commissioner Bud Selig declared that the game would end after 11 innings in a 7-7 tie. Do you remember that one?
Oh, I remember that one, and in fact, I'm old enough to remember back to the '60s, Rich, when there was a couple of years where they had two All-Star games
Yeah,
in one
yeah.
season. Uh,
By the
and
way, at
this
that
was
2002 game, the crowd was very upset. They booed through beer bottles,
yeah.
and the media even was highly critical of, baseball ending this game in a tie. Could you imagine nowadays with the betting?
Well, didn't they change it now? Though can't now people can go back in. I think uh, if they're still there, because a lot of them come out of the game, they take off.
Yeah.
So, but I think now they're allowed to re-enter the game if that kind of circumstance come up, they can put somebody back in that was taken out. So, to eliminate that because they weren't just what you said, nobody was happy about it, and um, kind of a weird thing we never saw before, but you know, it's changing. It's an evolution, and where it goes, we talked about a couple of weeks ago with the robo umps and everything else. So who knows?
Yeah, it's got an exciting future ahead of it, I'm sure. Every year something happens, to make the record books and stuff. That's always the good part about these games. And of course, this year it'll be played in Los Angeles. Dodger Stadium is getting the nod. I think the Phillies have to wait till like 2026 or something like that to get the All-Star game again. It's been a long time since the Phillies have hosted this event.
Get your tickets now, Rich.
Buy your. I don't even think they're selling them yet. They're going to be a hot ticket for sure in this area.
That's one thing I have not been to that I would have liked to have gone to. I doubt it now at this
2026,
age,
Gary.
I'll be 73, Rich. I don't think
That's
who
all right.
knows? Who knows?
They haven't even announced the 24 one yet.
Yeah.
Or 25, so maybe it'll be Citi Field.
Maybe 2013 I think was the last one here, and that was my opportunity, and I blew it probably. So I'll enjoy from home, but yeah, that's what I mean. I've been to playoff games, I've been to World Series games. I have not yet been to an All-Star game, and I would like to go just for the atmosphere of it.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why we keep asking for those donations from our listeners. We got to get a fund together, guys. If you're listening, go to the website, do what you can. Send me and Gary to the All-Star game, would you? We'll
go.
send you some reports back.
And where is that All-Star game next year?
Next year it'll be way up in Seattle, T-Mobile Park.
Okay.
Seattle Mariners getting it.
And then and we don't know after that, huh? We don't.
And like
know
I said, 24 is open, 25 is open,
Oh, wow.
26 will be Philadelphia because it's a historic year for the country, and they like to do that. They like to give it to Philadelphia. God, by then the stadium's going to be old. Citizens Bank Park. It's already old. It's still nice.
How
but it's old.
What is it, like 20 years now?
It's 18, I believe.
Wow, it doesn't seem
2004.
possible.
The first season was 2004. I remember because I had the Sunday plan.
It does not seem possible that
It doesn't.
You know.
It doesn't. 18 years roll by, and the place looks great still. Don't get me wrong, but
Well,
I
I think now they are taking care of these stadiums more than when we were younger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now they
and
realize.
the materials are probably better as well.
Yes. Because I noticed that too. Citi Field, they there's just more.
The materials don't
idea to
sort
keep, they don't
wear out.
wear out as quickly, and they're quicker to repair things than they were years ago. I mean, I can remember, Shea Stadium. We loved it, but it was pretty bad shape. I mean, you had things that were falling apart, and it just wasn't. It wasn't a great place, but we liked it because, if you had a big crowd there, you could actually feel the thing shaking. Like Game 7 of the '86 World Series. Holy cow! I thought the whole building was going to come down. You could actually feel it rocking and shaking and stuff, but the old girl made it through.
Veterans Stadium was about 31 years old before they called it a day for that. But like Shea Stadium, they were big monstrosity type of buildings and harder to maintain probably. And, the insides of them didn't last very long. That people used to complain about the locker rooms and things like that. And it just seems like, carpentry and stuff like that. Look at the Chicago Cubs there. They put $10 million, $20 million into their dressing rooms for the players and all that stuff. And they can get away with that nowadays. But apparently years ago it cost millions of dollars to fix these old stadiums, and that's why we got our new ones.
Yeah, it was cheaper just to tear them down and build. And you mentioned veterans, and that was part of that spree with the multi-purpose stadium. They were going to build the stadiums for football and baseball and other events, and they were carbon copies. Shea Stadium was the same stadium, except they never finished Shea Stadium. But it was the same style as Veteran Stadium, as Bush Stadium, as Three Rivers Stadium. They were all cookie cutters, and they just never. I think Shea might have been the first, and they didn't finish it. That's why it had that opening from right field, essentially from right field to left field, because they never enclosed it. They either ran out of time or money, and they just decided to leave it that way. But it gave it a distinctive look from the other stadiums. If you go back and look at old films, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and St. Louis, they all look the same when you looked at them on TV. And remember the cutouts too? The dirt cutouts. And Cincinnati was another one. Riverfront Stadium, that was another one. That they all were the same. And then the Orioles started it off with Camden Yards, where they went to an old style look architecture, and then it's just gone from there. And these stadiums should be good for 50 to 100 years. There's no need to be changing them 20 years or so. You build it right the first time until it gets to a point. I think it's wonderful what they did in Chicago. They kept that and just, put all that money in. They expanded it. It doesn't look the same anymore as what it used to be. But they're preserving it at least. Fenway Park is another one. The Dodgers Stadium is 60 years old. And you look at that place, and that's like you wouldn't believe that it's that old. But they just put a ton of money in it.
And they don't have the real estate like some cities do to just build another one right next door to it. And,
Right.
Right.
But
a little more trivia for those that are interested in the All-Star Game. It was canceled twice. Just was reading this. Once during 1945 due to World War II related travel restrictions. And then most recently, of course, 2020 was the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. That's the reason that was canceled. So game was originally supposed to be held at Dodger Stadium in 2020. Was canceled. So history was made. We were part of it.
Yeah, we were there, you might say, without being there.
Yeah.
But very, very interesting, and we'll see where the 24 and 25 happen, and
let's roll through the standings real quick before we wrap up for the show here. All-Star pre-show, so to speak. In the AL East, it's the Yankees pouring it on. 61 wins, 26 losses. Tampa Bay, 14 games out, although they're 7 games over 500. In the AL Central, it's Minnesota still holding the AL Central down 49 and 41. Cleveland in a second, they're even at 500. And AL West, 57 and 29. Houston Astros still doing it out there. And Gary, I just read this stat and I heard it tonight. Baltimore Orioles on a tear. They've won 9 in a row, and they're even right now as of July 13th as we're doing this podcast. That's amazing. They were like
That
18 games under 500.
That's pretty amazing, and I think they're 2 games out of the last wild card. Not that they'll get it, but it does throw a monkey wrench into the with the upcoming trade deadline. After the All-Star game, the trade talk starts heating up, especially among fans. And what will the Orioles do now? I mean, will they be buyers or will they be sellers? It should be very interesting. And kudos to them for, yes, they're in last place, but they're at 500. It'd be cool to see them finish at 500 for the season and at least get some respectability back.
And who knows? I mean, they're even right now. They're winning 9 in a row. Maybe they found something. Seattle also winners of their last 9. They have a record of 46 and 42.
Yeah, and L.A., the Angels, who started off strong, have flopped completely and are like 10 games below 500 now and not playing good ball at all. So, fired their manager. Hasn't seemed to have made a big difference with them. And in the National League, we've got the Mets with a 2.5 game lead over the Atlanta Braves, and your Phillies are right there. I can't really see how far back are the Phillies.
8.5 games back.
All right, there's a little bit of a difference there. And then Miami and Washington. And in the Central, we've got Milwaukee with a slight lead over the Cardinals. They've been volleying that lead back and forth, haven't they, Rich?
Yeah. Yeah, they've been going back and forth. Some teams having a good run. The Cardinals now 3 in a row. So, it's going to be a dog race down there in the Central.
And out west, of course, the Dodgers have got the lead, 7.5 game lead over the San Diego Padres. And the Giants are over 500. They're 11.5 games back and finding it very tough to repeat what they did last year, Rich. Don't think they'll hit the 100-win mark as they did last year. Respectable performance nonetheless, but not close to the race as of now. They could get hot in the second half, but who knows. But interesting, Rich. Again, who's going to be buyers and who's going to be sellers? I mean, we kind of know. I guess in the National League, you got Washington, the Cubbies, Cincinnati, maybe Colorado or Arizona could be sellers. American League, is it going to be Baltimore? Is Detroit going to be a seller? Kansas City definitely will be. Oakland will be sellers. So, but with Baltimore playing so well, and even Pittsburgh playing, 16 games under 500, but look, they're in third place in their division, so I think they're playing a lot better. Or I'm sorry, they're 12 games under 500. They could be in the middle somewhere of a seller, but not a complete sellout.
Yeah. We'll have to see as the next 2 weeks after the All-Star game, leading up to that trade deadline, as you said, some teams need to add players, and other teams will jettison some salaries, I'm sure. And, We'll see who
And
comes out on top with that.
and Rich, we've had a manager fired today, Charlie Montoya, with the Blue Jays after a rough July stretch. Was relieved of his duties as the Blue Jays manager, the team announced today. And bench coach John Schneider was named the interim manager. And AAA Buffalo skipper Casey Candell has been appointed as the interim bench coach. And Casey Candell, if I'm not mistaken, uh, maybe Jeff or Len could back me up on this, but he played with the Expos, I believe, and his mother was one of the members of the all-girl professional baseball team that was in the movie A League of Their Own.
Oh,
She
wow.
was on that team, and I believe it's Casey Candell. I could be mistaken, but a few years ago, we met I guess you'd call it a distant cousin of Mr. Candell, if I've got the right guy.
Uh-huh.
At an event, met him, and he was very interesting, but he had not seen his cousin in quite some time. So, but
Very cool.
yeah, it was. Yeah, his mother played in was a member of the All American Girls Professional Baseball League, and which was depicted in the movie A League of Their Own. In fact, I think she taught the son to play ball. She was the one that, I
Now,
guess.
getting back to the Toronto Blue Jays manager getting fired today, they're 46-42 going into the game. How's he getting fired at that point?
Well,
I don't
I think
understand.
I think they had a bad start to the month of July, and they just weren't happy. What can I say?
I guess.
They
I
thought
mean,
they changed. Maybe they felt he lost the clubhouse. Maybe the players aren't happy. And
he's
when
4
players
games
aren't-
over 500. They're 10 runs over the run differential, which isn't terribly much, but they're in fourth place. They're still very much in the race for second place. I don't know if anybody will catch the Yankees, but kind of out of the blue there, like usually a team that's doing terrible, 10 losses in a row, 11, 12, like we saw with Joe Madden and the Phillies skipper getting fired, Joe Girardi. They were behind like 10-game losing streaks. You can almost see the fan base losing that and the ownership. But this guy, 46-42, and he's fired. It's amazing.
Well, they've gone 2-8 in their last 10 games, so maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know.
I don't
All
get
I
it.
know is I saw this story.
I've heard of firing a manager for losing a dozen games, but when you're 4 games over 500 in a tough division like that is, I don't know.
All right. Well, we've talked about the All-Star game, and we should really pick a winner, shouldn't we?
Why not? Why don't you go first?
Oh, thanks. Well, I'm a National League guy, so I've got to stick with the National League. I root for them, and I'm going to pick them. I think it's, about time. Time has got to come. It's cyclical. It's got to turn eventually for the National League, so I'll go with the National League squad.
All right. If you go with them, I'll have to go with the American League just
No,
because.
you don't.
Just because they have a lot of younger stars this year, and I think they're going to come through for the American League. Even though I'm rooting for the National League, I really think that the American League's going to come through with this game.
All right. So there you have it. That's our picks.
Our picks for 2022, and we'll be back after the game, let you know comments that we have about it and things like that. And, of course, the Home Run Derby as well. We'll have plenty to talk about for our next show, Gary.
Yeah, plenty of things coming up, and then of course the whole second half and the trading deadline. It'll be interesting to see who makes what trades, and what are the Phillies looking for, Rich? What do you think they need?
Well, I know they need a starting pitcher. They've been getting through with some bullpen starts the last couple weeks, but they've been losing those games. So they need a qualified pitcher somehow. And if that means trading somebody that maybe you don't think should be traded, then so be it. But that's what they need, in my opinion. Maybe even a bullpen arm that's more reliable than what they have.
Well, I think everybody needs the same thing. The Mets will be looking for a bullpen arm or two, and if they could land a starting pitcher for not much a haul, I think they would make that move as well. However, they do have DeGrom and possibly McGill coming back, so we'll have to see on that. But DH is one thing that they're looking for too. Big hole in the Mets lineup is at the DH position, and they could use a little bit more offense coming out of that position. And so the Mets will be looking for a DH. And I think a lot of teams will be looking for similar starting pitching, bullpen, and maybe another outfield bat or something. So the Mets aren't unique in that. Sure, the Phillies would take another bat, though they've got a pretty good offense, so they may not feel they need any more offense. But it seems to be a universal thing every year. But everybody's always looking for pitching, whether it be bullpen or starting. So should be it's a fun time now until August.
Yes, it is. We'll be taking, keeping our eye on the game, letting you know what's going on. And Gary, it was another fun podcast. My voice is giving out on me a little bit here, so I think we better bring the curtains down on this show. But good luck to the National and the American League, and thanks for listening, everyone.